Everything dies. Hey, stand at the dun. Sell wanna dun. Hey, okay, who wanna rock with me tonight? I said, who wanna rock with D tonight? I said, who wanna rock with yo, hey. Okay, I still keep you posted. But sometimes I go ghost like I'm Danny Phantom off of a tangent, but don't panic. I might do Dan Montana, drug handler. Hand over what's close to your chest like Dan Pamela. Not talking with deep breaths, more heart chakra. I'm no doctor, but I opera. Rated. Motherfuckers cannot debate with. Stick with the basics if you ain't this. I'm talking about that God level flow. Creating with all that I know. Sick minds need the new antidote. So with a dose of that dope shit. Type of shit that make a crackhead comatose quick. Got them saying, who the fuck wrote this? Hannibal Lecter, nah. Check the description. As they be supplying all addictions to realness, the world's illness. Then I'm concerned of mine, I keep it on. I might decline to save the world this time. My soul group just got a higher rope to climb. I and I with the first high, oh my. Don't get lost in the fall, cause it do. Everything dies. Yeah. Everything dies, you best not act surprised while you alive. Take advantage, ain't no extra time. Better recognize your risk and make this shit worth it. Everything dies, you best not act surprised while you alive. Take advantage, ain't no extra time. Recognize your purpose and make this shit worth it. Yeah, busting down pillars, supplying the dealers. I'm eyeing you niggas, shadows of figures. Make it hard to see clear, they photoshopping the pictures. What you hear, they be lying through scripture. Shit, I ain't no victim, we a victim. Spiritual niggas work to see though with dolo, they move slow-mo. Stuck in the matrix and too aimless. Strike lightning, the aimless. The esoteric lock stainless. Nigga, the bomb be taking. Just niggas ain't honest issue. Stop scamming and cock jamming each other. Undercover for big other. Lying to your mother. What happened to one another? Uplifting each other. We supposed to build, but I ain't see shit but a kill. Believe that we will though. Due time, part of my all-gold spaceship. Wonder where we take this. Probably to the knife, bitch. It's best to fight this. I might just levitate like a mind trick. Meditate with my mind split. That's how I keep it balanced. There's no challenge. All of my niggas got diamond chalices bigger than Dallas's. Full cup, fountain, bitch. Full cups, full moon. Cause everything dies. You best not act surprised while you alive. Take advantage, ain't no extra time. Better recognize your purpose and make this shit worth it. Worth it. Everything dies. Not act surprised while you alive. Take advantage, ain't no extra time. Better recognize your purpose and make this shit worth it. What up? It's your boy Dave B. Watch the Dave TV where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And you know, I know I'm early and stuff like that, but I did want to kind of do a little bit of an insight onto energies we're gonna be experiencing as the sun slides into Virgo. You know what I'm saying? What up, Gideon? What's up? You said I don't know what color it is, but shout out to Moho. Hopefully I said that right. Yeah, we breaking down some astrology real smooth, you know what I'm saying? Talking about us as we move into Virgo season. We still in Leo. We about 27 degrees. So we know what it really means and how that plays out for us on a connection level. What up, y'all? You know what I'm saying? For the most part, how that plays out is as we shift from Leo into Virgo, how we see things and what we want to act on is going to go from wanting to set the stage and express ourselves all the way it's going to turn into a situation where now we're going to be much more concerned on trying to build, trying to get things working for ourselves, to being more practical and grounded and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. You said where you from? It's the ATL in the USA. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody from different countries. You said greets from Austria. Hey, shout out to you. You said, hey, bro, you can count on, and, you know, all that election stuff is lostness. You know what I'm saying? He said, can you listen to a song? Nope. Not unless it come with a little fee, you know what I'm saying? It come with a little fee or something like that. But for the most part, I do have some astrology and that and spirituality to talk about, you know, spirituality in terms of just your individual space and making sure that everything that you're participating with is, you know, in alignment with who you really are, you know what I'm saying? So you don't create more situations for life to go out of your favor and things to be depressed about, you know. So many things in life, like one thing you gotta appreciate it for what it is. It's an opportunity, you know, and how you show
the universe and God that you're not taking life for granted is by executing the things on your mind, getting things out. And as you become a representation of your truth, this expands the universe, and you doing God's, you know, God can work through you in that matter. You know, if we just talking about the season that we're going through right now, we in the last portion, or right now we're in the fixed portion of the summertime, but we're moving into the mutable portion. So this is the bit of the summertime going into Virgo season before we start hitting the fall. Now that's why in the title I put, this is either you working things out, or this is all things apart. You know, things fall down. It all falls down, like the Kanye West song. It's a situation right now where we're faced with, really, you should have already made a decision for yourself as far as what you're about to completely embody. You know what I'm saying? One thing about fixed portions of seasons, it's all about embodiment. So when we think about, you know, going through this one in particular, Leo season, a fixed fire sign, our character and who we want to be, who we want to present ourselves as, and what we're expressing, that has to be, it has to be set in stone. You know what I'm saying? Even though, you know, we, and a shout out to Saint Uno, we had a cool debate yesterday. You know, make sure y'all check that out. But we had a debate about spirits changing, things like that. And you know, we came to a conclusion. Basically, y'all gotta go watch the debate. I can't really break it down or condense it into this little bit of into this little section of this live. But for the most part, when it comes to where we at right now, have to, you know, part of what we need to do is be embodying what it is we want to set as a tone moving forward. The springtime, it introduced a lot of new world, and the springtime is always our time to, you know, present a new side of ourselves, basically. And with that new side that we present of ourselves, the summertime, we get to exercise it and see what it is, you know what I'm saying? See what it truly adds up to be. Things that were at one point just potential, it's now time to actually see, okay, what is the sum of this? What is this going to develop as? And that's the summertime. The summer, press it, you put it out, and you basically are testing it. Now, the Virgo portion, right before we go into the fall time, this is where it's like the harvest season, where the next thing to do is to look at the results of what it is that we chose to stage, what we chose to express, what we chose to embody. And from this angle, right, the angle of Virgo, this helps us determine whether or not that's productive, or if it's something completely needs to be changed and altered to be something more appropriate in alignment with who we are to work better for our lives. So again, you could look at your circumstances right now and, okay, am I actually on the right track with things? Am I actually moving in a way that not only aligns with me, but makes me feel as though, you know, from the experiences I'm going through, am I seeing synchronicities that's showing me that I'm actually on the right? Shout out to Shane, you said, what about Aries? So Aries is a cardinal fire sign, right? So this is all about similar to Leo, but it's about expression, the individual. It's about more than it is expression in general. So, you know, Aries, and yeah, you hit it on the head. Heading into spring, it's the first part of the springtime. So Aries is all about the first spark of something, the first idea, the first image, right? So the first image is you know, it's very important. But when we get to Leo season, it's kind of looking at that first image and saying, well, you know, as far as what we had at starting point, are we now at a point where we can make it something solidified? So whatever we introduced as that first sparking idea, does that idea actually hold up? Can it be fixated? Can it be a foundation? Can it prove itself, kind of stand on its own at that point? So it's a trying energy with Aries, right? Because it takes your individuality in the first place to get to a point where you're enough, confident enough to do what Leo needs to do, aka be that character on stage, or stage, everyone looking at you, attention. But the difference is one is cardinal and one is fixed. So being fixated, you need to now, that's why, right, key word is embodiment. How much can I really embody this character that I've been putting on the stage? And see, you'll know if you're planting the right seeds if now it's kind of like, because we're going through a full moon. So the full moon in Aquarius is actually showing you right now that character that you've been presenting, does it actually hold up? You know what I'm saying? Does it actually, is it something that we can look at as something that's solid, that we can respect and consider as worthy of attention and things like that. He said, got very strong trait of being stubborn and serious, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, Aries energy can be very, the thing about it is it's very into self. It's all about the individual. So when you're thinking of things through the Aries lens, it can come off a little bit of stubbornness, because I wouldn't even call it stubborn. What it is just kind of you're into your own, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to tell you what you feel though, like, you know, how you want to define it. But the nature of Aries is just to be so much into itself that it really doesn't for any outside extra, you know, energy added onto it, because the opposite energy would be Libra. So that would be like more ideas to something. And so Aries being opposed to that, it's like, I ain't trying to your ideas, I trying to live out my ideas. So that kind of can give off the stubborn kind of feel. So sometimes when you feel yourself being stubborn, it's more so you just kind of being into yourself and how you see it. And ain't nothing wrong with that all the time, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's cool to be on your opposite energy and listen to what other people might have to say, but hey, you know what I'm saying, you know, you chose those energies too. So at the same time, there's a lot of times, it's a time and place for everything. So that applies to all energies as far as the zodiac wheel is concerned. Sometimes you got to jump into Aries energy whether you're Aries or not. Sometimes you got to jump into Libra energy whether you're a Libra or not. So, you know, it's a time and place for everything. It's just a matter of knowing when and where to jump into these energies and reminding yourself that you are not themselves. So you don't get wrapped up into thinking the only way you can be you is if you do a bunch of things that pop culture told you Aries was all about, or whatever sign you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using you as an example. But that get astrology and take it a little too far. I always look at it like we got to look at astrology as just a tool. So these things is helping us map out certain spaces to understand our natures, but these things are not who we are. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, as we're going through different seasons, you know, them as opportunities to jump into energies that that can help you that help you learn more about an energy that we're going through. It's like, because like it's right now moving into Virgo season, you might not have energies that align with Virgo, but it'll help you to understand what the Virgo energy is representing in your life, so that you can add on that to your mental awareness basically. And as you're gaining more information, wisdom, knowledge, which is, it can be converted and transmuted into strength. And that strength is your ability to withstand a certain circumstance, experience, or anything you're going through, because you have more awareness of what it is you're going through. So be more intentional about what you're doing. You could extract more information from what you're doing because you can understand it better, and you don't have to be so personally affected to the point where it leads to developing trauma, mental trauma, like it's stressing you, point where you know what I'm saying, people when they stressed out, they got a lot on their mind. It leads them to do things that look like harming themselves or harming others, or doing things extremely out of their character, just because they're going through a breakdown at them, or having a breakdown. In the world we're in, the reason I said it like that is because the world we're in, it sets people up to experience things like that, in a you know, because it's a very unnatural way that society is constructed. A lot of unnatural things that we find ourselves having to do, certain things like work a 9-to-5 job is really just building on somebody else's idea, X, Y, and Z, you know, different things, that circumstances that we've been placed in based upon society that lead to us having extreme health. But these health issues start as mental issues, you know, us paying too much attention to something, not having enough awareness to something else, you know, stressing in the wrong area. It's really all about flow. So when you're stressed, it's something that's occupying something in your mind and solidifying it. And then that solidify, when something is still and it solidifies, it's like a form of calcification. So you'll find certain, again, if you want chakras, like your heart chakra being calcified, this is you having to go. This is an example of this, and how this would develop is, let's say you in a circumstance where you have to do a lot more, say you in debt, so you got to add more hours to your work day in order to get get your right. So it puts you in a space where you got to do this extreme energy, but doing it requires you to be what, at work or busy or, you know, attending to responsibilities. Now, if you don't have a healthy balance with other things in your life and know how to move in a way that works for you, you can find yourself into a situation where you overwork yourself. You work yourself to the point where you leave little to no time for your heart to experience and do it and be open and free. So what happens? That chakra, it doesn't exercise, it loses it basically, that's what they mean by calcify. So you start to be less connected emotionally to things you got going on in your life, because such of your life is occupied by things of the world that got you stressing, and it's putting you on a hamster wheel, basically, you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. That's just simple. Same thing with your mind being calcified or your throat chakra. You know, you go through certain trauma in a situation that doesn't allow for you to express yourself or feel comfortable expressing yourself. If you don't know who you are and you don't know when to take a stand, boundaries, and express who you truly are, that might cause friction, and you're not willing to do that, then you'll find yourself in situations where this chakra will be calcified or a different one. You know, so this, everything we have as a chakra is something we have to exercise. Feel things like fear and stress, and when you're reacting to things and choosing not to do things based upon trauma, you have to keep in mind where you're allowing the external circumstance to keep you basically boxed in or keep you away from doing what you here to do. I'm saying you got, it's like it's really just a perspective shift. You have to look at everything in the world as something that, it's like you're either going to be a victim or you're going to power yourself to be able to handle your situation in a way that is respectable of the universe. Because if you're not moving and, you know, choosing to impose your will, and what I mean by that is I'm not talking about dominating others and in hurting others and stuff like that, but I'm saying when you take power and authority over your own life, you look at all situations and circumstances as something you could work with, even unfavorable ones, you know, even ones that stress you out, turn into opportunities for you to either engage with it in a way that makes you stronger. But again, you got a choice. You either going to empower yourself to be able to handle what you're going through and get through it, or you're going to choose escapism. You're going to choose forms of escapism, which could look like drugs or running to this person, running to that person, you know, codependency, relationships and stuff like that. You're going to choose escapism or victimizing energy, which is blaming everything around you for why you can't do what only you can really do. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at yourself and your life like you. So only you can really truly have all the answers for the questions you have in life. And it's painful to kind of, you know, see it like that at first, because you might feel uncomfortable with you might not trust yourself to come up with the right answers. But you got to also understand life is not about right or wrong, and it's the experience itself and your ability to go through it and apply your awareness, and whatever you're not aware of, be willing and open to gain more awareness, to learn more, able to do more. You know what I'm saying? The better you know, what they say, the better you know, but I forgot the saying and the way they say it, but y'all know that saying I'm talking about, where it's like, oh, know better, got to do better. And if you don't know any better, then again, there's still grace for you in that space. If you don't know any better, you're just going through life. Hey, you might that lead to bigger consequences, but for the sake of it, the nature of it, if you're in the heart space, you know what I'm saying, you'll bounce back. You'll be put in a situation where you're graced by God in the universe simply because you didn't know any better. Now, if you go through something that you know better, don't be expecting you to get a lot of grace, because if you're, you know, if you neglecting what you're aware of, then basically playing out forms of self-sabotage. You're playing out forms of it's really self-sabotage in forms of, again, escapism. You know, you trying to get over. And that's the thing about life. You can't on life. Everybody gotta die, and that's not negotiable. Just like in the song in the beginning, you know, everything dies. You know what I'm saying? Your spirit though is eternal. It's going to live on forever. It's, you know, on and on. But your physical experience and flesh is going to die. It's going to expire. So when you're living life, you got to look at it like, this is me. This is an opportunity. Every day is a new day. Every new day is an opportunity for you to yourself and you to experience something that you know, theft of life can give you, you know what I'm saying? But if you abuse that and you choose to be in victimized, self-sabotage, or escapism type energy, it's like you're cheating yourself. But see, in reverse down here in the third dimension, people start to think that they can get over on life, just choose the escapism route. If I escape, I can get over on life. I don't have to do that thing I'm supposed to do. I can just explore my dopamine here, explore my pleasures here, and convince myself that I'm doing what I really want to do that might require a little more focus, discipline, and work. That's a form of trying life, and it doesn't work, because anytime you jump into escapism, you start to realize not only build up more anxiety, but you start to realize where your life don't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You don't make real progress. As soon as you come from that escapism, you realize, damn, I just went in a loop. I didn't explore and live and experience new things that make me feel like I'm more expanded. I just went in a loop. So this is why people in your life that you grew up with, there's some people who you see who literally just be in the same block, don't go nowhere outside of their own circumference, because they're and I'm not saying, because sometimes some people like a simple life, so I'm not saying, oh, just because from your perspective it looked like they ain't doing nothing with their life, that's true, and automatically somebody you can point at and be like, stop escapism, you know, stop out escapism. But a lot of times when you see people's life kind of go in a negative way, in a term where it seems like they don't do nothing, they don't ever leave the block, they don't ever, and they kind of look confined, and especially if you on your spiritual path, you gonna find you going out and seeing new things, and you feel yourself growing and expanding and doing more. But there they are on the same block, on the same corner, doing the same shit and going nowhere. When you see things like that, that's how you know a person is probably in that energy of escapism, and they're not making no real progress in their life. When a person plays out victimizing energy, this is them blaming everybody for things they ain't really, that it's basically, you see a person giving their power away to everybody, and they become the world's biggest haters. They become toxic people, and they become the people who raise kids who end up getting their dream crushed, and they become the dream crushers too. They start to point at everybody, and so that happens when people play out victimizing energy. People that you see is just unpleasant, people who always got something mean to say or something negative about somebody else who's actually and trying to be something or make something of their life. These become the biggest haters, the victimizing people. And then the other, I forgot what was the other one. It was victimizing, it was escapism, and self-sabotage. These be the people who, again, it's like a form of the energy, but these are the people who, you know, you see them, they have great potential, but they never amount to nothing, and they kind of mope around. These are the people who become depressed, and even if they did have a talent, they turn that talent into a curse. So this would be the equivalent of a person who reaches a certain status with they talent, they become a famous actor, but then they choose to get hooked on drugs and shit like that, probably trying to jump into one of the other two energies I was just explaining, like escapism or some kind of victimizing, where they had some kind of trauma growing up and now trying to blame somebody else for why they chose to get addicted to a certain substance. And now that addiction is them to do what? Basically throw their whole career away, throw their whole opportunities away, close and burn bridges, you know, close doors and burn bridges in their life. No one to blame but themselves. So you got to watch out for those three things: victimizing energy, where everything becomes a victim. You a victim, but everybody's to blame for why you're not doing stuff. Self-sabotage, people who are, you know, who just can't quite push themselves to get beyond their own funk, get out of their own depression. They can't push themselves to do anything, you know. Those type people, self-sabotage, always moping around, damn near will sabotage you, because they see you getting some, you know, soon as you get something going for yourself, here they are like, damn, you don't never spend time with me, trying to guilt trip you type stuff. And then the last one being escapism, always running away from something, you know what I'm saying, always trying to replace something with something else to make them you know what I'm saying, that basically it's just the biggest procrastinators and stuff like that, sitting on a talent that they know they could do, but instead of actually doing it and going through that experience and getting that awareness and building up to be something, they just waste it away. You said my little one is Sagittarius, and his name is Sagittarius, and he heads up. That's what's up. You named the kids. That's what's up. Well, with a young Sagittarius kid, I would say the best thing you can do is give them space and freedom to experience. You got to let him explore a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know his other alignments and stuff like that, so I can't give no deep, in-depth anything. But I would say characteristics of Sagittarius, they need room to expand and explore for themselves. So, you know, even with advice, you know, try to be mindful of, you know, they'll receive advice and stuff, but try not, you know, allow them space to experience life for themselves. That's the best thing I can that's the best thing for a Sagittarius kid, especially if he's a boy, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to climb a tree, yeah, he might hurt himself, but sometimes they might need that actual experience to learn from them, saying to learn for themselves, you know. He said, yep, know that way too well. Work is a part of life now. Everything has changed. Now I must stay at home trying to figure out myself out of that work mentality. I feel you. That's a real thing, because a lot of men develop their whole personality based upon and that's not who you are either. And you know what I'm saying? And that can, you know, we got to know ourselves beyond what society has pushed us to believe in. You know, you let society tell it. Being a man, it's like, as a man, you not nobody else outside of what you can provide. And you know, in a sense, we have to keep in mind that we are producers at the end of the day. We're designed, like, that masculine energy is designed for that, but at the same time, that's still not who you are. That's something you're embodying. So that's the thing about it. You make masculinity look like who you are. You don't allow masculinity to determine what you can and can't do, if that makes sense. It's like the way society teaches it. To be a man, you got to do X, Y, but it's really supposed to be in reverse. It's supposed to be you as a spirit. You play out your masculine. It's like you play out who you are. You be yourself, but you understand what masculine traits are. So you give color and shape masculinity is by being yourself, because that's you a man, you know, that type shit. He said better be blunt than rapper. Right. Better, yeah, right. Better to be blunt than wrapping someone in cotton wool, right? Putting wool over somebody's eyes. I like how you said that. So yeah, so let's the topic of today, you know what I'm saying? Spending 30 minutes kind of just giving a preamble. But for the most part, you know, that's the thing. This live is I want the actual full moon breakdown. Y'all can go see the previous video. I posted a full moon video. I ain't go live with that one, but it's posted already, talking about the full moon energies themselves. So we just experienced the full moon, the moon making its way into Pisces. So to speak a little bit on that, so the sun is 27 degrees Leo. So at 27 degrees Leo, that means we're starting to experience the cusp with. So we're now looking at the stage we set and how we express ourselves with a more analytical perspective. And if it hasn't hit yet, it's going to start to become a thing. Now, the moon shifting in Pisces right now, being that the sun isn't there yet, it's creating a slight in conjunction, potential head-on collision, potential opposition, or not potential, it's coming. So it's not like a, you know what I'm saying, how you say potential is like coming, you know what I'm saying, the opposition is coming, but I think we'll slick just miss it. So you got to look at this as like, right now, how you feel, you might be misunderstanding what you're looking at or how to feel about what you're looking at, especially if you've been planting the wrong seeds. If you've been planting the right seeds, this is going to be more of a positive energy. You feel like, and it goes back to the title, you feel like, oh shit, this got the potential of working out for me, versus the other end of it, you feel like, oh no, everything is about to crash, everything is about to fall down. And it's like, even if you in that space, I would advise not to panic. It's still a misunderstanding, and there's always room for improvement, always room for you as a spirit to get in and fix your situation. Now, I know some holes are bigger than others, so it's like you gotta, you know what I'm saying, take duration. But for the most part, shout out to Arda, peace on to you. You saying, for the most part though, you know, what we're experiencing right now is like, you might feel on the brink of something working out for you, or you might feel like, oh shit, things are about to crash. Now, even if you in crash out mode, right, the key to it is to understand what it is we're experiencing. The full moon in Aquarius basically hit the question, are you satisfied with your network and associations? And that goes externally to people, places, and things outside of you, but also internally to think about yourself and how you're moving and operating in your experience. Now, we have a gift through Jupiter and Mars to get information that can help us determine or make sense out of what it is that we're actually seeing or what we're actually feeling. And our ability to communicate is going to also carry that out even more, where based upon who we can talk to in our community, associations, and network, they might have more information to help us expand on our experience, and also ways in which they can reignite passion in what we're doing so that we can have an added fuel and willpower to get it done. Also, it's like a good teamwork makes the dream work energy. If you already been in a situation where you've been doing good business and you've been conducting in the appropriate way based upon you truly being yourself, but observing the transits and knowing how to also interact and relate with others, you'll be in a position where other people, again, people are going to be willing to help you out, willing to work with you, and it won't be no weird animosity energy. It won't be no weird kind of energy where you got to feel like you're exiled or somebody's ghosting you. But on the flip side, you might find yourself in situations where, based upon conversations you having that you once was kind of keeping around you, you might start to realize where you might have to ghost them. Or internally, it might be certain ways you was thinking and going about that based upon new information. As you're going through what you're going through, you can now take and say, oh damn, I might need to ghost myself from a certain way of thinking in a circumstance, or ghost myself from how I was thinking or how I was feeling about what I was about to experience, because that might not actually be the truth. So this is kind of on both ends, the point of it all, to honor that Aquarian energy of being a bit of a water bearer, especially where the moon is at, where we can basically hold our feelings. And I know that was a weird burp. Hold our feelings enough to be able to discern ourselves and move accordingly. You said limit negative perception to the max. Shout out to LeBlunt. LeBlunt, you know what I'm saying? I feel you. Yeah, you want to limit it. Yeah, you want to give yourself enough room to still work with what you got, because that's the name of the game right now. Virgo is known for being critical and being a little more pessimistic, skeptical, but the name of the game is knowing how to work with what you got. So what Virgo is really good at is identifying what does work and making the most out of that. But saying, like, again, as we start to get close to season, that kind of in the back of your head, critical energy where you're criticizing yourself and what you wasn't able to do and where you're not at, that might get to you a little bit. That might make you, trigger you into old spaces. Again, that Mercury might trigger you into old spaces of not knowing what to do, or kind of questioning whether or not you're doing the right thing in the first place. And you got to kind of keep in mind, what was you trying to embody all of Leo season? You know what I'm saying? You say, if you woke up, you got everything you need already. You already right. LeBron. Okay. Look, I almost called him LeBron. LeBlunt, you got some, yeah, you kicking some good game right there. That's exactly it. Everything you need already. And you got to trust that, you know what I'm saying? And this is going to kind of be the test between, as we go through Virgo season, because as we go through Virgo season, our faith is going to be tested in two ways. The sun is going to square Jupiter. So we're going to have to learn how to see faith and learn how to learn how to analyze our experiences and extract from that. We're going to be looking at real realistic things that don't actually represent and like things to have faith in and believe in, but we're going to have to analyze it to the point where we can see the details, and we can actually, in those details, based upon what we're doing, we can find faith in that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like in reverse, like our faith is tested in that way, squaring Jupiter, and then it's also going to be opposing Saturn and Pisces. Pisces is the energy of faith, belief, and imagination. The sun is going to be looking at the opposite end of that. It's going to be in a complete opposite direction looking at that. So again, it's going to be a big time that those criticisms and the pressure and stress might start getting to you. But it is the way you act on it. It's got to look in a way you're willing to basically play that position, you know what I'm saying, and work it out. It's like nothing can work out if you don't put forth the effort to get your hands dirty and actually address it. You know, you said everything we need for the lifetime hidden in, right. You said it's not about the destination. It's about loving the process. Love each step towards success. Nothing more, nothing less. Right. Man, you kicking some good game, bro. Exactly. And part of that love of the process, that's like Venus and Virgo, you know, where we appreciate what it is we experiencing. Right. Bars. Yeah, you are right. Exactly. Real bars. Because that's what it is. You know, and like you said, nothing more, nothing less. But when we say, you know, I was just saying about Virgo Venus, you know, that is the essence of what LeBlanc was just saying. You know what I'm saying? You said rhyme scheme and everything. Oh, okay. You said that's the bar right there, right? Oh, okay. It was actually rhyming with that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I see what you did. He said it's about the destiny. Now I ain't about to rap it for you, but I feel you on that one. Yeah, I'm seeing the rhyme now. But that's the name of the game right now. Like I was just saying with Virgo Venus, is like appreciating that process of analyzing something. And when you're analyzing it, you still can keep space for, you know, the potential of what's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? You can still hold space for what you believe it, what you want it to be, your imagination of what it could become, the potential of it. You know, the thing about Virgo just needs to be rooted in what's real though. But if the results look like it's leading to that potential, then Virgo's cool. You know what I'm saying? He said you got bars. I definitely want to hear that. I know you got some fire shit you hitting. Hey man, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll be dropping music and stuff like that. You know it. But real shit. But you know, getting back to what I'm saying, you know, right now we have to look at it like that. We have to understand like that Virgo energy, it's the higher octave of Virgo. And I like to look at higher octave energies. If you try to play out the higher octave of your sign, start to understand what's on the opposite end. So on the opposite end of Virgo is Pisces. So it is a form of have or what you believe in and what you want to have faith in and imagination. But the how you make that work and you balance that is by making it make sense for that imagination to come true, for that dream to come true. It's like we all got dreams, but how many of us approach that dream in a way where it can actually realistically come true? And so you got to look at, and then if we're looking at an energy, the energy that's actually in Pisces, what a powerful time to be in, where the sun is able to look at this right here and say, where we're able to look at with the sun, the space that the sun is Virgo, to actually start to put in practical work towards in that imagination in reality. You know what I'm saying? What a powerful time to be in. So, you know, whatever you're going through at the moment, you down. You can't let it hold you back. And you got to kind of look at it like, you know what? Nah, this is the exact experience I need to start to put the right mental material together to be able to build this dream, to know how to build this dream in reality. And the irony of everything we do in life is that everything seems way more complicated until we just do it. You know what I'm saying? The more we talk about it, the more we think about it, the more convoluted the idea becomes, the more we add feelings and it becomes tiresome. But as soon as we start just acting on it, easier it actually is. We start to realize, damn, this wasn't that complicated to begin with. You know what I'm saying? You start to realize, oh, damn, I'm actually feeling this. And once you get into that flow state, then boom, all of a sudden you start to realize like you thought you know, was going to take a certain amount of time. It actually was none of that. You know what I'm saying? You start to realize just how much easier it is to move and flow. Like when you're in that flow state, you realize it's all music and dancing. I don't know how to explain it other than that, where you're dancing, you're co-creating with the universe. It's like it's a beautiful thing for real. He said, person, my vision Virgo, not virgin, more like, oh, okay, y'all rapping in the comments, huh? That's what's up. But yeah, so getting back into what I'm saying, so with this energy right here, this Virgo initiation, it's really preparing us, because we about to have not only the sun, but well, the sun is basically going to join Venus, and it's going to join and then Mercury is going to come back in there too once Mercury goes direct, and Mercury's about to go direct at the end of this week. So we got these three energies in Virgo that's kind of creating that space for us to start to work on what it is that we are trying to construct. It's going to be opposing that sap, what we love and appreciate. We're going to have to look in our own life and see what it is that we might still appreciate that might be distracting us from building that dream. So we're going to have to kind of balance it out and really ask ourselves, is what we're doing something that's pertaining to us making progress towards what we're trying to construct? You know, if not, then we might have to adjust some things. We might, and it's going to come in the area of what you love and appreciate. You know, what you love and appreciate, you might have to switch some things, reschedule them, or make more time. You know, you're going to have to schedule out time for that space that you love and appreciate. And it's either going to time that you're, it's like, for instance, it'd be an example of, in one context, could be you already got a 9-to-5 job that's supporting everything that you want to do out, you know, as a individual, right? It's supporting things that you want to do, like your real spiritual goals or your creative goals or whatever you want to do. But you're gonna have to carve out time to do the things you love to do, whether that's making the music, you know what I'm saying, doing all that other stuff. Shout out Jackie New. She always come right on time. So the Venus and Virgo, it's gonna be able to carving out time to do what you love, or it's gonna be you are doing what you love, but you might have to put more things pertaining to responsibilities on that schedule so that you can show appreciation to it, so that you don't let life get too chaotic and too out of hand. So you got to determine what side of the spectrum you on. You already kind of have a decent balance where it's more so, or you're already doing more so of the things that you need to do as responsibilities. So you need to carve out to put what you love on a schedule, or vice versa. You doing too much of what you love to do and what's fun, and you might need to carve out and develop more appreciation for things that's more realistic and grounded and look like you being responsible. Kind of the two ends of the spectrum. The sun gets there is how we starting to see things. So it's going to start to make sense as far as what to act on, or what you see is going to start to be like, oh, I can start to see everything that don't make sense, that's not consistent with what I'm trying to build in my life. You're going to start to see it. It's going to start to be something you can't even ignore. And if you choose to ignore it, that's you, again, playing out energies of being in a delusion. And that's going to lead to more, you know, bad seeds being planted. And you're going to see the result of that. Because what's transitioning now, again, that Leo energy, what you put on the stage at one point is sufficient. But now it's like, okay, because the reason it was sufficient is because during Leo season, we just care that we're seeing something attention. We just want to be entertained. But after the show is done and the reviews come in, you start to see, okay, well, with what I put on stage, what was the real value of it? What was the result of it? And if you spent Leo season experiencing that was false characters and things that didn't have nothing real behind it, like I was saying before, no integrity, no real actual passion that's rooted in anything real, you gonna see the consequences of that. Basically everything in Virgo season gonna point, and it's gonna be like, this isn't actually, it's like a bunch of bad reviews coming for a movie you just spent $1,000 $1 million to make. You spent you know what I'm saying, y'all hear them box office failures where they put millions behind a movie, did terrible in the box office. And so that's kind of a metaphor for how your life might be playing out, where it's like you expended an exuberant amount of effort, energy, attention into something, but based on the wrong energy behind it and it not really being who you are, it failed box office. So again, this full moon moment, that's probably what you're experiencing now, where you realize you didn't set the stage amongst your community or your network for what you do and who you are to be supported. So it's like you told everybody in your friends list, hey, I'm finna be at this, y'all come out and support me. And then now it's showtime and ain't nobody out there to support you. Ain't nobody bought a ticket. Ain't nobody came to the event. Ain't nobody ain't no interest in your individuality in that space, and what you chose to put on that stage. And again, that you might want to first blame everybody else who didn't come through, but you said passion is the basic. If you don't do your shit with passion, why even do it? I feel you on that. You might feel like the first thing to do is to point to everybody and say, well, fuck you, why didn't you come to my stuff, why didn't you support me? But you might need to look at yourself and say, well, what did I put on that stage? kind of like bro was just saying, passion. Did you actually portray that character the right way? What was backing and supporting that character? Did you actually put effort into your lines? Did you actually figure out what it is you was trying to do? Like, did you really do the best you could? You know what I'm saying? You got to really stuff like that too. Did you do the best you actually could? Or did you just do what you thought was going to get the attention? Did you just get by? Did you just kind of copycat what you seen other people do that work and trust that? You know, the people who went out on a limb was being themselves and tapped into authenticity. It's like you can tell when the actor on stage is digging into something that it's like what's gonna set you apart. It's like the difference between a performance that you remember and one that's just basic that you probably gonna turn off is the character behind it. You know what I'm saying? The actual idiot and how that person put what they do together. Everybody got the same lines, but they put something into it that emerged. And you know what I'm saying? You say, I just said the truth, but the truth hurts. You know what I'm saying? I kind of feel you on that one too. Because that's what, you know, that's what we're talking about. It's like the characters that you remember, they put something real into what it is that they was expressing. So we all had the same lines, but the way they was digging into something that was true to them. So they emerged something that it's just like it by default, how they expressed it, it became something that set them apart from everybody else, because that's the thing. We all here to be one of a kind. In so many ways, that kind of shows you life plays out, where, for instance, you might be an artist or whatever it is that you do, right? You might wake up some days and look around you and say, damn, a lot of people do what I do. Why should I keep doing me? Or why should I keep doing this thing? And again, how it takes us right back to, it's not what you do it, it's how you do it. So at the end of the day, the how part, that is your power. So the further you can take the how, it don't matter if 1 million people come up behind you doing the same exact thing. Nobody can do it like you do it. The kind energy, that shit, it right. Shout out to Who Eli. You know what I'm saying? And see, this kind of gets into a deeper aspect of how the shadow government shit. Because one thing I'm noticing, and it's been confirmed by, because we all picking up on it. Everybody who be creating content, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But when we talk about the concept of cobalt mines and gold mines, and we starting to see why the government, the way we see why it plays out the way it plays out in today's time. Because it's the same thing with record labels. It's the same thing with anything that they do. They plan of action is always to see the gold and replicate it. And they think that process is going to, and see that what they're trying to replicate what they observe from the gold mines, but exclude the gold mines from being a part of it. And it's a form of kind of, see, competition energy too, because it's almost like they know that they can't produce that on their own, but they need that substance because they can't produce it on their own. So they create a scenario where, let's say, because I think there was a time, right, where I think, oh, what was it? They do this with artists all the time. But I remember there was a conversation going around, right, where, like the industry plants, right? I'll keep it simple with this example. When you think about what an industry plant is, right? There's people in the world with talent, but we know that the name of the game really is about popularity. And so a lot of times what we see, the people who get granted access to these spaces, 9 times out of it's all approval. To be on to get certain access to certain venues, you got to get approval. You got to shake hands. You got to know people, right? You got to be approved. So what you start to see is there's people with real talent, but then there's people who are approved by the individuals who run what's going on. So when you talk about like record, like time you talking about the music business, they'll tell you, they like, okay, music business, it's a business. You might have started doing music because you wanted to be creative and you was talented, but at the end of the day, you can't be a successful artist today and you're not what? basically a content creator and you know, doing all this extra stuff that ain't got nothing to, and even being a content creator, it's like you're not gonna get the attention unless you're promote ideas that they want promoted. So if you're not making the song about, you know, killing people, if you're not making a song about, you know, sexualizing everything, if you're not making the music that sound like the kind of mainstream garbage we hear today, if you're not making the things that sound like what they think is going to get the money, they not really caring about what it is you trying to, and they not caring about the talent you trying to bring and the new ideas you trying to take, you trying to present to them. All they care about is what's going to make the deal, what's going to be popularized, and what can we utilize as something that's going. So they not thinking of that. So it's like you start to see the way they got things set up. They got it into a way where I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain it, but it's basically they'll try to recreate that instead of giving the person with actual talent the platform and the opportunity to do that in that space. And see, the reason that don't work in today's time is because for the first time ever, artists have the ability to get on platforms and run them themselves to where they don't need no middleman. So if artists can gain, as you know, all the traction themselves, and they become the powerhouse, they become the individual with the influence. See, this is where, again, what they do, what the government does to combat that, the scenario where they try to taint or infiltrate what the gold mine got going on. And in that process, it's almost like they try to move that energy and then represent something that they, basically a copycat version of what it is that they seen from that gold mine. So they create the copycat, they try to wipe out the legacy of the actual originator of that energy, and they repackage it as if they came up with it. So this would be like the equivalent of, again, an artist with a lot of talent who gets put in a situation where now they got a bunch of scandal and all kinds of weird cancel rumors and stuff like that. Basically they flip, they gain, as because an artist on their own will gain a lot of status and influence, but then what'll happen is it'll be a scenario where they realize, okay, can't let that individual have that much influence, so they'll do something to create a scenario around them that basically discredits their talent or overshadows their talent, or put them in a situation where they put themselves in jail, or they put themselves in a compromising situation, whether it is they get involved in something they shouldn't be, based upon, again, desires, based upon lack of awareness. And you know, that's that shit, that's that shadow shit. And then what they do on the other end, that situation up to distract from the talent. And in that meantime, they replicate what they observe to present, oh yeah, this is what we always had. So they try, and that becomes the industry plan, where they find somebody else who's willing to basically do whatever it is that they want to do. They make the music they want to do. They find a figurehead, promote them, they give them the platform, they put them on Double XL, they put them on that stage to basically be the face, the new face of what they destroyed from that gold mine. And see, a gold mine will go through something like that, and thing about it is, even if they make it through a situation like that, they really need to be strong. But see, experiences like that, what it does to the spirit, highly discouraging, because that's the equivalent of us being in the world. As soon as we get good at the game, they switch the game, or they change the rules. As soon as we get good at playing the game, they change the rules. So again, same thing for the gold mines. Gold mines might have been that's working, gaining them notoriety. Here they come, change the rules, create a new system, and then put their figureheads in place, or the people who's already been accepted as celebrities that they can utilize still them, and start giving them more opportunities and deals to do things that look like the gold mine was doing in their own time, gaining notoriety and gaining influence and stuff like that. But because they changed the rules, the gold mine is left kind of to start from zero again. But here's the thing, how you combat that, or how we got to combat that, is we got to first of all keep in mind, remind ourselves that, again, it's not on us, it's in us. So we can reproduce anything at any time. It don't matter if I gotta start from zero. I did it, I could do it again. If I got rich once, I could do it again type energy, right? If it's in you, not on you, you could always do it again. And chances are, if you do it again, you know I'm gonna do it better than I did before because I know more, I gain more expansion. This is just a form of contraction. That's one way perspective that we can utilize to combat that type of ritual and spell that they trying to do. Because the thing about it is they can't stop shit. They, again, that's all a cobalt mind can do is create roadblocks for you and copy. They can only create roadblocks and copy. They can't produce, because that's not what it does. Cobalt, what it knows how to do is maybe structure and organize. That comes with a lot of, again, road blockages, trying to finesse you out your goal. Once they finesse you out your goal, you realize the reason they do that is because they can't produce it on their own. And that makes them that makes them weak. But as a gold mine, you could leave me you could drop me anywhere with nothing, and I'm gonna make something out of that nothing. I'm gonna make something out of that nothing. Alchemy, all that other shit that we be talking about. That's the real, like that is the ultimate gift and power. Faith, belief, and imagination. The ability to take nothing, what a spirit really came from, no thing, take nothing and make it something. But also have the discernment to know that that something ain't everything. It ain't me. That's just something I utilize. A form I can either jump in or others, but it's not me. And when that form is destroyed because everything dies, I don't have to feel dead with it. I just produce something else. That's the quality of gold that they trying to take from individuals. And this is why, again, they produce blood on their hands and they not going nowhere. But see, you realize that's why they do what they do, is because they weak. They can't produce it. So that's one perspective. Like I was saying, the first perspective is how we, the second is teamwork make the dream work. If a bunch of as gold mines create a system, we create a circumstance where we're doing what the cobalt mines trying to do, organize structure, but we end up doing it better. We end up doing it in a way where we can support each other in a way where we're not reliant or dependent on any other system to get our material needs met. And my material needs, I mean the things that, because when we think about the material world, what comes to mind for me is, in the material world, there's certain things, it's almost like you got to know how to play. And by playing the game, you get the resource that helps you sustain whatever it, it's almost like if you was to play an arcade game, right? And it's like you got to put quarters in or tokens in every time you're trying to play. But if you play the game well, you earn tokens while you play. So if you play the game well enough, you won't have to jump in your pocket and keep points. You know what I'm saying? So if you play the game right, like again, in life, in the world, society and shit like that, if you understand the game and you play it well, you can live a decent life for society. It's just, as far as society's concerned, you can live a fairly calm, peaceful life or whatever. You could do what you want to do, because it's the concept of, if you understand the system and say you get a job, that job can pay your bills, that state of mind of being that you can be in, you can enjoy the things of the game. You can go to the, you know what I'm saying, you can go out with your friends, you can go to this venue, you can spend money, have, you know what I'm saying, live in a good house, live in a good neighborhood, you can play the game, smooth experience. But let's say you're trying to rebel against the system, so you ignore the game. It's like when that game gets to a point where your turn is over, when your character dies or something like that, you basically have to insert a coin. So if you didn't play the game right, this is like a person who ends up home or something like that. You made the game, you put yourself on the side of the game where it's a lot harder to kind of get what you need done. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of harder to get things working. So you put yourself in that space. It's like that type of energy where it's like, okay, you made life. That's where you're going through a bunch of things in life that kind of feel unnecessary at times. It's like, damn, I made this circumstance a lot harder than it needed to be. You being too spiritual, so you neglecting the things of the game that's necessary for the game to keep running. The game could pay for itself, but instead, because you're too much on that one side of the spectrum, you kind of make yourself go bankrupt based upon you ignoring the fact that that's the way the game needs to be played. Like I was saying, that's how I think of material. Like material is a game. They got a business going on, and if you're willing to participate with the business itself, the game could pay for itself, and you won't have to sacrifice as much. That's like the act coming out your pocket, and that's like you, again, you might say, my spirit wants me to be fully passions, but if you ain't got your resources and responsibilities taken care of, it's like your passions will lead you to, like I was just saying before, be homeless. Your passions will lead you to not being able to enjoy the things of the game because you got to keep on. It's like you're not getting with the program. You know, doesn't mean you have to beat a program just because you playing the game. Remember, you outside the game, you just playing it. So you ain't got to beat the game. You ain't got to be a in the game that's like, you know, but I'm talking a lot of metaphor shit. And I feel like I'm like doing a lot of Piscean talk right now. And again, we getting into Virgo season. So hope y'all rolling with me. But if y'all get what I'm saying, like I'm creating big ass allegory, but I feel like it's necessary to understand kind of the context. It's like if you were to be playing an arcade game, the character avatar that's in the game, you're just using that to navigate, and you can use that, play the game and make it pay for itself, as opposed to being too against the game and shit like that. So now it's like either there's people who get same, they think they the actual avatar and character, so when the character goes through issues, they think it's like they exhaust their spirit, they exhaust everything because they trying to be too much in the game. That's you getting too involved in your job, too involved in everything of the world and letting it affect you. You got to remember, it's still a level of detachment. You just playing the game, you just operating a little character. And if you know how to do it, right, upon your own ability to observe and be aware of what you're looking at, then again, you play the game well, and you can get your situation in a way it can afford itself. Which looks like in real life, you having certain responsibilities taken care of, so you got time to add your craft, or you got money to invest in your craft. You got the actual resource, do what it is that's on your mind, execute these ideas, live your, create your dreams, create your dream scenario, or get your goals accomplished, versus a person who not playing the game well, and it's like it costs them so much just to exist. Basically, it's like they don't got their responsibilities taken care of, so even less time to really invest in a craft. They have less actual physical and resources to invest in a craft. But my whole point of all that is to say, with a strong community, it's like it's the concept of you and your closest friends putting together your own game. So you don't have to rely on the shadow government game and play that. The people around you could take your associations and your network, and y'all can create a game for y'all. And it might get to the point where that game is sufficient enough to keep your circumstance and responsibilities going and upheld without relying on their game to do anything. Even if the game that y'all created together is actually a different kind of game, that its function is to gain a bunch of resources and gain a bunch of coins that you can now take and utilize in that other game system. Hopefully y'all understand, man. Like I'm going on and on with the analogy and shit, but yeah, hopefully y'all get what I'm actually trying to say. Because that's the time we in. And see, going further, we at a time right now where, like I said before, the gold mines have an ability or an opportunity to utilize the technology available right now, like going online and interacting with different individuals to do what they want to do, right? But here's the thing. We know society itself is going through a shift. We're going through election season, so there's about to be a lot of new things implemented that change the rules again. So knowing that the rules are going to change, we have to kind of be we got to be 10 steps ahead and say, how can we create a circumstance that's not so reliant on what they choose to switch and change about the game itself? So that's kind of where being in the age of Aquarius, it matters in understanding what that even means, because then we can look and say, okay, in the age of Aquarius, doing communities, being able to hold my own water and interact with the world in a way looks more Aquarian like, which looks like, you know, again, communities and communication, organization being a little more structured. I mean, we can go on and about the Aquarian traits, but for the most part, understanding what the Aquarius just represents is like being able to have a network, being able to have a community, being able to have other individuals who share a common idea. If we don't do that, basically, it's like if you don't do it for yourself, the government will do that for you. So if you can't put that situation together for yourself amongst the people you know with your own creativity and your own mind, then you put yourself in a circumstance where, you know, again, you basically are going to just have to be subjective to the shot the government decides for you, decides that they want you involved in. So again, access. So an example of that is like as much access and opportunity we have online with the current apps and the way, you know, we can use social media and whatnot. Against a couple years, if they decide that the way we go about that got to go in a completely different way, if that's all you're relying on, again, you're subjected. You lose power. It's like you subjected to whatever they decide to do with it. So that's why it's important in the present time and to create a situation for yourself that's going to look like it doesn't have to rely on that system. If you start with the individuals, you creating a system that's alternative to that, and that looks like really, it looks like you, of course, being yourself and interacting with them and making it make sense for y'all. That's kind of like a whole different. I would have to do that in a different line to explain that aspect of it, because it's way deeper than just that. But that in and of itself is you creating a system with, you know, a system of yourselves, so y'all don't have to be so reliant on this. And that's kind of like the main thing I even been saying about being an example. It's like we at a time right now where, again, that Aquarian quality, that's what's necessary right now. We got to do something that looks more like that versus what's been kind of the practice for 2,000 years and what we see the majority of humankind doing, where it seemed like they just go along with whatever's given to them. So they're always in that second, you know, they always receiving something after the fact. Basically, they always eating scraps versus an individual who know how to cook. So they the first to eat because they know how to prepare them. So us knowing what we know, it's like we have that gift to be able to prepare the meal. So the last thing we need to be doing is listening to those who follow and get scraps. You know what I'm saying? We need to be cooking up our own circumstance so that we can eat first for once, you know what I'm saying, instead of the majority of society who just responding off of scraps and getting the getting very, you know, y'all get it. It's like you just getting leftovers. You can't get full off leftovers. It's like it's a bunch of just scraps. And again, it's only like that. The people in power, though, it's like when you look at it like that, you realize the people in power, the reason why they failing and it's not working is because they don't even have that power. Very thing that it's like it's all scare tactics. They can't produce gold, but they scare by presenting themselves in a way as which they'll snatch. It's like, if you thinking about it like this, right? What gets the resources. But they using fear tactics to make individuals afraid that they'll take their resources, when who cares if you take the resources? I got the gold. Creates the resource or brings in the resource. So it's like they'll threaten everybody with taking the resource because people are thinking, again, it's like a form of getting you to think in a scarcity way. You know what I'm saying? Making you think in a scarcity mind. Like if you remind yourself you abundant, who cares? I produce gold. What you mean you taking resources? I produce the thing that creates resources. So why would I be afraid of what you threaten to take away that I could produce on my own? You know what I'm saying? Like, they use fear tactics though and get people in loops and all kinds of crazy stuff. Shout out to McCovey. You said you made it. What's up? What's up? He said, I put my trust in God, not stars. Well, what's God for you? That's good. I feel that. You know, like I be saying, again, astrology and stars and all that is just a tool. You know what I'm saying? But when you say trust, you know, what you defining as God? Shout out to Jackie Newton. But you know, so all that being said, right, kind of trying to bring it all together, because I allow myself to go on a tangent. What the situation we in right now is basically, you know, we have to take what it is that we're going through to make that work. We got to figure it out. So that's the Virgo energy, basically figure it out. And it's the equivalent to harvest energy. So harvesting, you planted seeds up into this point, right? They have, some of them have grown, some of them you see sprouting, some of them, you know, they was dead from the jump. They didn't even, you questioning whether they need to replace that with a different fruit or vegetable or something like that. So right now it's that kind of energy. We're analyzing what it is that we've been investing ourselves in. And it's up for you to discernment on what it is you need to spend time on, what it is you need to replace with something that's a little more productive or a little more fruit, right? Or you know, what's working, what's not working. But the way you do that, though, you got to be confident in what it is that you started. Like, you started a garden for a reason. Metaphorically speaking, you started this shit for a reason. Whatever it is that you're doing, you did it for a reason. You chose that for a reason. So you have to still connect back to that reason. It's almost like you have to learn details of that meaning and reasoning. That's like that Virgo energy that's going to potentially square Jupiter. What was the reason? Let's get to the detail of it. The reason why you started all this. What is the reason why you jumped into this experience and you started, you know, and what can you start, what can you work with that? And that's a good starting point to help to develop the necessary practices that's going to bring you back to a level of consistency with getting that thing created in reality. Because right now, again, on the other end of things, distraction is extremely high, because that everything right now, not only, it's almost like the way everything around us operates, everything is a distraction. The phone is the greatest resource, but it's the greatest distraction too. You can make a lot of money on the phone, but you can also waste a great deal of time on the phone, scrolling, you know, doing all kinds of different things. So discernment got to be at an all-time high, where we're able to look and cut through things. And see, it's all going to come down to how well you can sober yourself up and kind of separate from all that excitement of what you think you can get from a certain thing, and understand what you're doing, why you're doing it in the first place. Like with that Virgo energy, allow it to kind of dry up a little bit of the extra, you know, dry it up a little bit and remind yourself or anchor of why it is you even doing this in the first place. What's the functionality of it? What's the actual goal? You know, right now, everything that looks pretty and stuff, oh, like, you know, I just want to be in this circumstance, or I want to be in that, or I want viral, I want this validation from that, or we got to kind of sober all that up. And it's got to come down to, well, what is the core reasoning and fun for me to jump into this energy in the first place? Because all that other stuff can start to become desire, and it can start to look like, oh, like I said, forms of escapism, in the sense of, you know, being so wrapped up in what could potential, because this is the Pisces energy of it, right? It's even Saturn Pisces to a degree. All of the ideas and beautiful imagination of the potential of what you could do, that in and of itself could be a distraction actually doing it. And see, that energy even squares with that's also squares Jupiter and Mars. It's like the mutable square going on with Mars, Jupiter, Venus, soon to be Mercury and the Sun, and you know, we got Saturn and Neptune, for a recipe of getting lost in the imagination and wanting to think through everything in that, you know, it's almost like you see the imagination and it's like the reality you trying to create, but then here you go and fake conversations in that fake world you created, and having fake thoughts, you know what I'm saying, like adding on extra thoughts to it. And it's like, that's all beautiful if you're not bringing that back to center and deciding in the moment in your everyday life, applying actual practical steps to get there, then it's not gonna go nowhere. And this is where frustration can be created. Even the way you interact with people that need you to show up and be present, because again, we have a responsibility too to interact with the people around us. Again, our network and who we're associated with, these are the people who are going to help us make these things real too. You know what I'm saying? These are the people involved too. But if you're wrapped up into that dream and imagination, again, this could just distract you. This could distract you in the sense of you end up not showing up at the right place at the right, because you're too wrapped up into that imagination. Like, again, it's formed, and a lot of this is playing out too because of retrograde energies as well. It's like going back and forth with, should I still do that or should I not? If this is when you're going to start to see things fall apart, because when you're busy in that imagination and too wrapped up into that, real life is going to be going on. Real things are going to be happening. And if you're not in the present, you're out on, like I be saying about Virgo, Virgo is the thing makes sense. The things that make that dream coming true make sense. So if you're not doing the things that make that dream coming true make sense, you just in that dream back to reality, you've made no progress. You have nothing to show for it, no results. You've planted no seeds, so no fruits have grown, type energy. But if you tend into your garden every day, again, you can dream about the garden going to turn into, when you after a hard days of work, or when you just wake up in the morning like, oh yeah, this is how I want my garden to look in the future. But that daytime got to be spent with you actually on the field, planting the seeds and tending to the garden, if y'all get what I'm saying. So don't lose sight and connection with that things. You know what I'm saying? We have to involve ourselves in these things. Like, if Leo season is the embodiment of the character, Virgo season is the involving yourself in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are the character, but now you have to integrate. That's the word I was looking for. Virgo is like the integrator, the integration of the character in reality. So, and then oh shit, battery. Getting it down to earth. Exactly. It's like in the summertime, we had Cancer. That was the feeling of it. That Karen turned into a Leo energy, which become an expression and embodiment of the character, where we now have the feminine and the masculine aspect. Now it is one. But now that it's one, it has to integrate reality. It has to come down to earth. It has to, okay, now that you've created it's like in a video game. You create the character, right? It's those RPG game, video games. You create your character. Then what's the next step? Hit start. And once you hit start, now the character is in the game. Now the journey begins. Now you can actually, interact with the world as the created. So that is the ritual even of Leo going into Virgo, and then Virgo being the culmination of the summertime, the day side port, the day half of the zodiac wheel going into the night side. And that's when the character you created, right, is now integrated into the world. This where now in the 7th house, or in the Libra energy, or the Libra season, this is relating you as that character in reality, relating to everything around you. And by relating, this creates that balance where even in a video game, when you create your character, now you in the game and you start your journey, well, you have to interact with the world, relate to the world in order to get your mission, understand what you got to do, your objectives. So if it's a game where you can walk around and stuff, a lot of games, they do a loot system. They call it a loot system, where you go and you interact with the world in the game to collect items that become valuable in other areas. So that's like Libra energy, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go down the whole zodiac wheel, but y'all understand the progression of how this stuff works alongside each other. So that's where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, first of all, if you made it this far, congratulations, you've created that character. Now it's up for, now you're going to determine, based upon the full moon and where you at, whether you satisfied or not, what the character you created is appropriate for the journey at hand. And it might not be. And again, like I said, don't get discouraged, but understand that this is you needing to transmute and transform certain things that you've clung to, that representation of the right character. Because the thing about purpose, when you decide your purpose, one thing you got to remember is, as a one of a kind, the more as a spirit you become one of a kind, you start to realize that your purpose, nobody else could do your purpose. It's yours. So The ideas of needing to compete and needing to do anything else that results in you chasing something outside of you is it's ridiculous. There's a lot of other words I could use, but it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's like you that's the wrong starting point. That being said, the better you be yourself, more suited you are for your path and purpose. So that also makes it ridiculous to stress on whether or not you can fulfill your purpose or do your purpose or your mission. Duh, you can do it. It's yours. And if you being you, nobody else gonna do it but you as a one of a kind. The only thing you got to do is be more of. Now, being more of yourself, I'm not talking in a narcissistic way that people might hear and say, oh, well, I ain't gotta change myself for the better. No, you gotta practice, you gotta interact with the world, and you gotta learn new things, and that's part of it, you know. Because the last thing I'm saying is that you just get a free pass and don't gotta actually grow. And no, that's part of the game, is expansion, contraction, you know, change and things like that, change being inevitable. So you gonna have to look at yourself and see what needs to change and make the choice to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's your journey as a spirit. Because even back to the debate, spirit being no thing, the reason why change is inevitable. It's like you choosing these forms to jump in, mentalities, and what is necessary at what time. You choosing these forms. But when one form isn't working, again, don't die with that form. That form is something you created as a spirit. So when it's time to jump into a new form or create a new form, that's really what it is. That's what you do. So we all shedding skin. We always expand and contraction. That's part of the process. But where we at right now, like I was saying, it's like to look at it like, okay, moving forward, me embodying this character, like, you know what I'm saying, we're either gonna make it work right now, or we're gonna from the work itself. And that's gonna look like again, it's all falling because it's gonna look like escapism. And anytime you escaping something that is your responsibility, over time it erodes, it weakens. And if it weakens for too long, it will crumble and it will fall right there, it will fall flat. So, you know, again, if you looking at yourself and you like, yeah, I don't got created for this journey, I don't think they got the right qualities, then you probably just looking at it the wrong way. You probably just need to readjust how you looking at it and your approach to it. But again, that is possible. All possibilities. It's possible. It's just gonna take you a little more time. Again, as you being unsatisfied with your network at the time, at this current moment, you looking around and saying, man, I'm not even satisfied with my dreams. Because see, the moon sliding into Pisces from Aquarius, form of where you satisfied with your connections, your network, and your associations. If not, this is gonna start to look like, damn, I've been in an illusion. The moon misunderstanding, why didn't my character get attention in the form of support? The moon in conjunct the sun, misunderstanding why nobody connected to the character I put on stage. And that's an internal thing that you got to dig in and understand for yourself, and really look inside yourself and say, well, damn, okay, I must have been in an illusion. I wasn't as good as I thought I was, or I wasn't saying the lines how I should have been saying them. I wasn't doing this and doing it. It's like the whole, you know, that's the kind of thought process that might start to come up with the moon sliding into Pisces. So, you know, and then again, we getting reminiscences, real strong reminiscences of the full moon, because it was in that degree before we got to the cusp in well, it was 2 o'clock today, so I think that was on the cusp, you know, just like the last one. But the last one was a little closer to G, I think. But this one, we actually was in Aquarius, but now we starting to get Pisces energy with a hint or the reminiscences of Aquarius. So that's going to be us dream and realizing, damn, this could be a tough time for some people, because it could lead you to really be discouraged in what it is that you've been dreaming about. And moon getting closer to Saturn is that process of feeling the reality of your dreams, and even feeling emotionally, it's like getting hit with that reality check, basically a huge reality check. And then Virgo, it's an even bigger reality check, where it's like you can't even hide from the result of what it is you've been doing. And if you ain't been doing shit, that's what you dealing with right now. Damn, I couldn't bullshit my way through that performance. I thought I could maybe make it look and get by, but for some people it's like, no, you couldn't. Now for the people who've been doing their thing, this is like the been waiting for. The people who've been planting the good seeds, this is the moment we've been waiting for. All of a sudden, we see where our efforts are actually, not only have we set the stage, but there's people in that audience who want to be a part of what it is we got going on. This is people in our network who's invested into what we do. They're invested into who we are because of what we've already been doing with them. You know what I'm saying? Based upon who you've been to them, and how you've been showing up for yourself. That is a representation of your network right now. So your network look like a bunch of people who not only show up for themselves, but because they showed up for themselves, they in a position to now show up for you. This is like the equivalent of if we was on a movie set, the people who went through and got their credentials put themselves in a position to be hired to help you get this film shot. You know what I'm saying? This is one of them laws you just gotta follow along with me. You gotta walk with me. Get in with me. You know what I'm saying? But so that's the name of the game right now. It's like, but that Pisces energy can hit. It can hit a lot of us with reality check, and you having to kind of sober up a little bit at yourself and say, damn, okay, am I actually, what is it? But again, even if you've been planting the right seeds, this is the moment this is where finally the different things that we can utilize to continue to solidify our situation is now readily available. And these come in the form of, and again, speaking strictly from the moon's perspective, right? Full moon in Aquarius, if you were satisfied with your network, this is now moving into Pisces, you having an added sense of faith because of the you who's associated with you, who also believe in what you do, who also believe in you. And they only believe in you because you believed in yourself first and you embodied it. You proved it. You know what I'm saying? And that's like Piscean energy on a higher octave. Actually did the work and was consistent. So now it looks believable and realistic for that imagination to exist. Even if I ain't never been there or never seen it, you represent an energy that I can now have faith in. Even if I haven't seen it, I believe it's true because something like you then came into existence. So y'all was talking about bars earlier. That's a bar for y'all right there. You know what I'm saying? But that's how it is now. So take that for what it is, and start to if you're in that situation, then that again, now's that time, right before we get into Virgo. And see, we're in the waning period, so this is the time to sit back. But again, you're gonna be in a nice, comfortable position sitting back where you can have those conversations that are necessary to get what it is that your dream built. And again, and that's externally. Internally, this is you having the right thoughts and feelings to associate with, give you an extra sense of faith. And we know faith is fuel. So this is going to give you all the energy you need to add on how hard you can go with what it is you're doing already, if you've been planting the right seeds. So whatever you're involved in, whatever you have as a responsibility, again, in Virgo, it's all about work. So this is the extra oomph you need to get you to work. You know what I'm saying? It's like a switch being hit. And now all of a sudden it's like, boom. So when I say Virgo season initiation, that's the tone. It's supposed to be flipping a switch, because we have to take it to another level. And if anybody know about that, it's Virgo, because Virgo deals with the details that make that possible. I'm saying? All possibilities. Yeah. But how we gonna make it possible? That's Virgo. And that's a very powerful position. But yeah, I'm still gonna go live and do a full do a moon Pisces reading. But this is just, I just wanted to speak a little bit about this shift into energy. So, you know, kind of the different spaces and how we might need to be looking at our circumstances to be able to fit the program, you know what I'm saying, to hit correctly. Because we already know it's a tone going on right now. It's a certain tone in the air where we got to be a bit more serious about what it is we say we do and how we approach it. You still been approaching things in a lackluster, mediocre way. Don't be surprised if that's all that continues. That's exactly what you're gonna get back. Mediocre, average, basic. If you trying to be extraordinary, or even if you just trying to be factory, you know what I'm saying, if you just trying to live a good life and be solid, it's going to take you to approach things with that same, you know, emotional tenacity. It's like you gotta really be aware of your approach to what it is you're doing in life at the moment. It's everything at the moment, you know what I'm saying, like your approach to it, because you got to think as far as practice. How you practice is how you play. How you practice is how you perform. So if you put into practice mediocrity, that's how you're going to perform. And I'm speaking spiritually. So living life, again, we all got certain things on where we might have to just go through the motions. We all have our moments. But think about that for a second. When are you going to initiate a different tone? That's gonna, like, you might be looking at your life like, man, my life ain't shit. When are you gonna introduce energy that's gonna turn that into what you want to do? I mean, if that's what you want, then cool, but it's on you. You know what I'm saying? Able to set the tone and switch things up when it's necessary. And that's the benefit of a mute energy that we going through. It's time to switch it up. And as we switch it up, and see, we're 27 degrees in, so this is a Pluto influence. Where today in and of itself is a day we should be identifying areas and spaces, things that just need to transform, or showing appreciation for where we've taken power and control over the things we've already been putting in practice to transform. If you already been doing this, then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I see what I'm doing. I appreciate that. The next energy we going into is we're gonna have a Uranus influence tomorrow. So that Uranus influence is being willing to move with the changes. You have to change, switch things up. So with everything that you put depth to and transformed internally today, tomorrow you need to start to act on these changes. Move different, breathe different, get it done different. Then we hit the Neptunian influence. So that's going to be added creativity. That's you taking time to imagine where you're actually trying to take things. So that's going to be 2 days from now to be the goal for that day. That's going to be you allowing yourself to get creative with your approach, what you want to bring into your life. You know, taking some time to connect to that vision, that goal, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And that's the 29th degree of Leo. And then we're going to get into Virgo, where we had to start from ground zero, where it's going to be time to now start to calculate it, put that energy into practice. What did I want to say too? The moon sliding in the Pisces. Well, we gonna do a separate reading for that to go deep into that. I've been talking for a long time, but anyway, y'all had a great a great full moon in Aquarius. The moon is now out in the Pisces. So, you know, like I said before, that's the shift too with that. It's like gonna start to be a little more emotional about our dreams, and maybe even whether, you know, based upon our satisfaction levels with our association and network, we might start to lose faith in it, or we're adding faith to it. So regardless of what spectrum you're on, of that being where you at, and look at the circumstance accordingly, you know, because it might be time to switch up that association, or you might just be overreacting. There's a lot of energy going on. If you planted bad seeds, you got things you probably just need to get straight with yourself first before you start to go around and make it other people's, or make other people aware of it. But sometimes a conversation can be had that can work in your favor. And that's the thing about the moon being in Pisces. It's squaring, it's in a very uncomfortable space because it's squaring both Jupiter and Mars. So it's going to be hard to feel comfortable with communication and having those conversations that help your awareness. It might be hard to ask for advice, but you might truly actually need advice from your association and network in your community. You might actually need it. So, to learn how to open your mouth and communicate without being so emotionally bogged down to what you think other people might feel about what you have to say or what you think. Try not to be in that space, because it's going to put everybody in a space where they're highly susceptible to be more delusional. And then again, it's hitting with that Virgo energy. So feeling different from what we, love. So don't compromise who you are for the sake of what you're loving and appreciation and valuing. Don't sacrifice. It's almost like don't sell yourself short. Basically, kind of energy. Venus. Again, you might, for example, right? You might be going through a situation where you're losing faith in your network and associations, and you feel like they might be ghosting you. So in reaching out to them and having a conversation, you start to develop a imagination, a delusion that they actually are ghosting you, and it can make you highly emotional, and it put you in spaces where you act out in that manner. You express yourself in a way as if you trying to do them. And see, this is how you create toxicity. When you got tripped up on the first, just because the moon was in Pisces, you just needed a conversation. You might have needed more information and context, right? That can help you not be so lost into your own delusion and so forth. But like I said, I'll go deeper into that in a live, probably tomorrow. I'll probably end up going live in the morning tomorrow and all that good stuff. But I appreciate everybody for coming through, listening to me just ramble and shit like that. Even though we talking about some real shit always, what I'm saying? I really appreciate y'all. For the most part, we got a lot of cool things. I'm gonna make an announcement video very soon. Got some cool things to bring to y'all attention. Easier ways to get in contact with me for readings and consultations, as well as another service that I'm introducing. Also, an easier way to kind of tap into the programs that we got going on. What I'm saying? So like the Each One Teach One, as well as the conference and getting involved with that stuff. So be on the lookout for that. The Women's Each One Teach One is going to dropping some details on that soon. So shout out to all y'all. He said, do I do birth chart readings? I absolutely do. If you want one now, or the announcement, just email me at 717conference.info@gmail.com. And yeah, I can tell you all my pricings and all that good stuff in the process. Other than that, but yeah, shout out to the Women's Each One Teach One. I heard y'all was laughing at us because y'all was saying we wasn't meeting up. We've been meeting up too. We got some, I'm gonna have a meeting for us very soon, kind of seeing stuff. But just y'all be on the lookout for details on that. Yeah, just right now, like I said, stay protected. Stop, try not to get too distracted. Don't bog yourself down with negativity. Keep yourself open, and yeah, keep working, keep building. You know what I'm saying? Much love, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.